it is what everybody wants to do. Nobody wants to lose muscle and body fat at the same time. So, again, just the resistance training and that right formula, adding nutrients without calories and having your calories in the right place. It's just that's sort of the magic of being able to maintain the body you want or achieve the body you want and then maintain it. Otherwise, you make the decision, what do I want to do first? Just lose body fat, we can go much faster, right?
Yeah.
If I need to just gain muscle, we can go much faster. Yeah. Body doesn't like doing both at the same time. But I love it when people can put on a little bit of muscle while they're losing body fat. That's the magic.
Welcome back to another episode of Sup Beast. As always, Zane Spruce, Neal Spruce, and today we're going to be talking about losing fat and gaining muscle simultaneously, okay? So we did a fat loss episode, and then we also did a muscle gain episode where we talk about it a little bit there, but this one's going to be specifically talking about losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time, and if it's possible, who can do it? Can anyone do it, first of all? Because not all body comps, I don't think, are able to. And then, going down the list of, what you need to do to achieve that. So, as always, our expert here, Neal Spruce, who basically, came up with the method of how to do this, is going to tell us how to do it. So, is it possible in the first place to lose fat and gain muscle at the same time?
It is. Not for everybody, depending on your age and experience when it comes to weightlifting and so forth and resistance training, because you might be way down the road and be a very experienced lifter. You're 60 years old, and now you decide, I want to lose body fat and still gain muscle at the same time. But you've been lifting for years and you haven't gained any muscle. And you're old. So there's differences there. Now, right. There's some caveats to that. If you haven't been doing everything right, that means training properly, eating properly for supporting muscle and losing body fat, which is a very tight formula, and not supplementing properly. So if that 60-year-old had never supplemented, definitely you can gain muscle and lose body fat. So there's extremes on both sides, right? But yes, but almost anybody can, depending on where they are in their training career at this particular time. Any newbie coming into me, I don't care who you are, how old you are, absolutely.
Do you have to be a certain body fat percentage, though, to be able to achieve that? Like, if you're already pretty low, is it going to be damn near impossible?
Yeah, okay, well, let's talk about that. Yeah, so you're talking about if you are, let's say you're obese.
Right.
And you're, 350 pounds, and you've got, 50% body fat. Well, let's face it, you probably want to lose both, because don't forget, you've gained the muscle just from hauling all that fat around.
Right.
You're hauling 350 pounds around, okay?
So you're
putting on muscle.
Weighted vest.
So you're probably going to lose a little muscle along with your body fat. Now, I could keep it there, and it might be a good thing. That's why you see these people that were very overweight, when they do lose the weight, they got great calves from hauling that weight around all the time. But, bottom line is, if you're lean, like a bodybuilder getting ready for a show, they're already lean, but they got to get all the fat off, and they're trying to hold on to their muscle. So that's the magic. So I think what we should do right now for all the listeners, time's up. For all listeners, is let's disqualify the use of anabolic steroids in the conversation.
Absolutely.
Okay, because that changes everything, obviously, because when your androgens and your anabolic hormones are raised in the body artificially, it just does everything 10 times better. So you can just forget that one.
Yeah.
But bodybuilders getting ready for shows, well, think about natural. Just think of one, a fitness model or anything else. They've got to get their body fat way down. They want to hang on to muscle. So what they're doing is they're feeding the muscle the nutrients it needs to stay alive. So you're getting straight protein in high doses with low calories. So they'll use protein supplements like whey, okay, or just a really strong amino acid formula as well. So you're getting basically nutrients with hardly any calories. Same thing with because vitamins and minerals are the spark to all of your metabolism. They're responsible for every part of the metabolic processes in the body. You want to keep them up. Right. You want to be in a calorie deficit to lose the fat, but you don't want to be in a nutrient deficit. Yeah. Because when you take your calories out, what are you losing?
Nutrients.
Yeah, exactly. So what you got to do is get the nutrients back above your calories. So if you're eating 3,000 calories, you got to go down to 2,500. You got to make sure you got about 4,000 calories of nutrients, if you will. Okay, right. But without the calories. There's no calories in vitamins, minerals, very few in like your essential fatty acids. Of course, there is like in a gram, but you don't need that many of them. Same thing with protein. I can take your protein down to literally 4 calories per gram rather than 15, 20 calories per gram in a whole food. But again, you got to have whole food too. So don't get me wrong, because you need your calories. So anyway, that's the formula is unique, and that's why I always make sure people want to do that.
Yeah.
But, and again, if you want a little history on it, I could give you a little history how it started.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, of course, I was a bodybuilder, and I was really making a name for myself in the by 79, 80, 81, 82. And so Gold's Gym picked me up, and Gold's Gym only had Venice. And we'd always go down there and train before competition because I was living in San Francisco. And then they heard me doing these seminars because the whole world was getting fat in the 70s, and all these diet centers popped up. Nutrisystems, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig's, right? Yeah. And they were having people lose weight on very low calorie diets, okay? Losing weight on that. Of course, you're going to lose weight, but so everybody write this down. If you're losing weight and you're not supplementing and you're not exercising and basically resistance exercising mostly, you're going to lose anywhere. I don't care how good your diet is. If you're in a deficit, you're going to lose anywhere from 20% to 40% of your weight, depending on the size of the deficit, in lean body mass.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is not just muscle, which is not just skeletal muscle. It's organ weight too. Liver, everything starts to shrink a little bit. It begins to atrophy because those are the things that use calories. So your body's going, oh shoot, I'm going to starve to death if I keep this up. So it gets rid of things that use calories, and now you can function on less calories. And of course, we know 80% will all gain it back in the next year. So I was furious at all these diet centers because they were telling people not to exercise. Because exercise keeps your weight up a little bit because you're putting on, or you're holding on to muscle. Instead of losing 20 pounds of muscle in a 50-pound thing, you're now only losing 15 pounds. And of course, the weight's going down slower, and that pisses the diet centers off. So they told you, this is true, they told you not to exercise until you lost the weight because you're paying by the numbers going down on the scale.
Yeah.
They passed a law. I got furious, and I was part of that whole thing, saying you can't do that. Because when they gain the weight back, and everybody does, and we already know that, almost everybody does, what do they gain back?
Fat.
The fat, not the muscle.
Yeah.
So now they're what we call, their whole infrastructure is pretty much duressed. Because you're talking about bone, skeletal muscle, organs, everything else is now, your metabolism's down like this. You just smell food and you get fat. Yeah. Okay? They put the weight back on. Now the fat comes back, and a little bit of muscle might come back, but not the full 20 pounds you just lost.
Right.
And now you're screwed. If we call that weight cycling. And then you go back and you do it again, and now you lose more, and you gain the weight back again. And this goes on and on forever. So anyway, I was furious, and I started on a campaign. I started lecturing all over the country, everywhere. The goals would send me out to the gym. I do a grand opening. I do a lecture. Here's how you're going to lose body fat and put on muscle so you burn more calories. And that was the beginning of the original program. If anybody's listeners, I'll bet we have some out there that remember all that. It was called Nutrition Analysis. Put it in your computer. And you could actually put in, I want to lose 6% body fat. We had 12-week programs. I want to lose 6% body fat, and I want to gain 2 pounds of lean body mass simultaneously, or 3. And I trained all the trainers how to be able to do that and show that, but it was all nutrition. The exercise is easy. See, I had one up on everybody by putting it in the gym because you need to exercise in order to do this as well, to put on the muscle. Okay, and so they had already made the decision to do that. When you go to a Jenny Craig or a Weight Watchers or any of these diet centers that are out there today, they haven't made the decision yet to exercise. Now, they may tell you to because they have to by law. Oh, yeah, you better exercise too. Okay, and they will. But people just stop doing it. They just don't do it, But so the bottom line is I had that advantage, and then I taught the trainers. So we have a very small deficit, okay, very, very small, to make sure we could do that. And then you use those calories to be able to build the muscle along with all the extra nutrients. You're feeding the body nutrients without calories. Yeah. Boom. That was huge. So we're feeding muscle and starving body fat.
Right.
And that was the formula, a small deficit.
And let's start getting into the gritty details of that formula. Okay. So I know we kind of talked about like where you kind of need to be to do it. So what is that like kind of prototypical body composition we're looking at to start doing this?
Yeah.
So because for me, that's going to be hard, right? Somebody that sits around, 10% body fat on a given basis, and gain a decent amount of muscle, like it's going to be harder for me, right, to do it. So what is that person that's like your perfect person to do that?
Oh, the perfect person were the people that were coming to the gym to listen to this lecture that were like from sort of the outside world, and they would come in, and they were like the females would be somewhere anywhere between 20 and 32, 34% body fat. You know, when you start to get, you know, you're overweight, but you're not quite, morbidly obese or anything like that. Then you're overweight and you're just crossing over into obesity maybe. And then males, same thing, a little bit less. So they're somewhere around 12 to 25. Let's just say that's the perfect person. Yeah. And they've never done anything right before. Yeah. So I don't care if you're 60 or I don't care if you're 14.
Right.
If they've never done training's easy. It's just resistance training. They've never done the nutrition right. They didn't know where to start with their calories, how high or how low, okay? They didn't know how much protein they needed and the micronutrients that they needed, so they get the nutrients without all the calories, so their metabolism just picks up rather than go down. So that's the perfect person. But I could take anybody. I could take, if I had to work with someone like you, but see, you do everything right, so that's why you're saying it'd be harder. I go to you and I go, what is more important to you, losing body fat or gaining muscle? And then I would design the program around that, because put it this way, if you held your body fat at 10% and I put 10 pounds of muscle, what happens to your body fat?
Goes down.
It's lower. Just natural. It's because it's 10% of a different weight.
Yeah.
And never went up. So you had 10 pounds, let's say you had 15 pounds of body fat and you weighed 200. I get you to 220 of all muscle. You still have the 20 pounds of body fat, but you're obviously a much lower percentage. So again, that's what I tell people, let it drift down on its own when they're like that. When there's someone like you, it'll just drift down on its own, but I'm just going to put the muscle on now. Now, because you've been supplementing and doing all that right, you would have to go to the next level and work out completely different for hypertrophy, because you're a fighter. Right. Hypertrophy is a whole different workout. And then we can put the muscle on and do your nutrition just the way it is.
Jiu-jitsu athlete to clarify
Jiu-jitsu
that.
Athlete. Yeah.
Okay. No MMA here.
Right.
Gave that dream up a long time ago. Let's get into kind of, I guess, so where are we starting with when we're going to go down this road? First thing we're going to do is like weigh ourselves and then get a fat measurement?
Absolutely.
And so just for people to kind of, I don't know, if they want to do this, what is the easiest way to just go about tracking your fat? Yeah,
look, there's a very simple way, but it does take two people to do it, because you've got these bod pods, right? The DEXA, you've got your bioelectric impedance where you can do it on your own when you go to a gym and all that. Those are okay, but they're just, forget about accuracy.
You want directional
accuracy. You want, well, and not just that, you want to be repeatable. In other words, if I took your body fat on a bioelectric impedance in the morning and I did it later on at night and you hadn't done anything to change your body fat, which you wouldn't have been anyway in that short of time, it could be completely different. And it's discouraging sometimes. You may lose body fat and then get checked 2 weeks later, and actually it shows you didn't lose any, or something, depending on your fluid levels when you get checked. There's too many variables. The ideal way, and this is what we did, we had to bring this into the gym. In the 80s, when we started this whole thing, losing body, we had to measure body fat, because people would end up going, God, I look like I lost fat because I can see my abs, but the number didn't go down on the scale. So that's when I said, and this is like early 80s now, and I go, okay, we got to start measuring body fat. So we use calipers. Yeah. Calipers is the easy. It does take two people, but it's reproducible. I mean, I can measure you 5 times. It's going to be identical. And all you care about is being directionally correct. And by the way, calipers are as close as anything else. Hydrostatic weighing, your bod pods, your DEXA, all these big names out there, they're not practical, and they're in university or college settings. They're not in or medical settings. Yeah. You're not going to find it in the gym. And not only that, it doesn't make any sense.
And you want to have access to it week to week, right? Or
I always recommend measuring body fat every 2 weeks. Okay. 1 week's not enough. And you can use any sites you want. The seven site caliper, and you can just buy them. They're cheap. That tells you exactly how to do it. There's tons of videos on YouTube to show you how to measure body fat. And then just have your spouse or a training partner do it for you every 2 weeks. Yeah. And it's worth it, because it really does make a difference.
It's not that expensive too, right?
No, it's dirt cheap, a few bucks. Yeah, so That you want to get that's the best way to do it, because you're going to be the same thing, and all you care about is the subcutaneous fat.
Right.
What you're measuring with the iPod or the bod pod and all these other things, you're also measuring visceral fat or any kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're estimating it, based on people. You don't need that. You just want to know the subcutaneous fat.
Those aren't always accessible either. So
well, they're not, and you can't afford it anyway.
Yeah.
And plus, you got to have a technician on staff.
Yeah.
So anyway, just use your calipers. That's the best way. And of course, weigh yourself regularly and keep track of that. Well, you can weigh yourself every day or every week. I don't care about that because we're just going on an average there.
Yeah.
But that tells you what's going on.
So every 2 weeks, track the fat, use the calipers.
Yeah.
That's your first.
And weigh yourself once a week.
All right. And that's where you start with the weight. And then, so let's get into the diet portion of it.
And let me just finish that also. I don't want to freak anybody out because there are no one, and I'm talking about, I'm not exaggerating, as you know, millions of people that are businesses that work with today, and you're in the tens and maybe crazy number, 500,000 new people every year go through our program. We're measuring body fat. I mean, it's in all of our clubs, right? So from Gold's Gym, we now are UFC and Crunches and all the other ones out there. So no one has had more issues when someone said, well, they're losing fat, but I couldn't find it on the calipers. We measured them last time. Maybe in those exact places they didn't lose the body fat. So the next time it will. So it's an average. Yeah. Don't freak out at a measurement. It's an average. So after 3 or 4 weeks, if it's not showing, then they're definitely not losing body fat.
Yeah.
But at 2 weeks, there could be like a steady going down the first 6 weeks, and then it goes a little slower, and sometimes you lose fat in different places.
Yeah.
So that's all. So, but it's close enough with that, and that's just the average. And you will get down, because listen, I measure bodybuilders and shows, obviously, and I'm talking about, the ones I got ready that do use steroids and have used them and everything else, and their body fat with a caliper gets all the way down to 1% to 2%. And again, we're just measuring that. That's a number, but that's the number we know that you'll be shredded, striated everywhere. That's the number. So it's just a number. Yeah. But it's got to be going, to your point, directionally correct. Yeah. And then you make the adjustment on your calories or moving more.
Yeah. Let's get to that, which is kind of the macro portion of it. I can probably guess where the protein's going to be going with this, with the 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. But we'll hear it from you here. What is the macros for losing fat and gaining muscle?
Yeah. So you're probably going to start somewhere around 40, 30, 30. So 40% good carbs, okay, which includes your vegetables and maybe some whole grains or potatoes with skin. Sweet potatoes are good carbs. Because again, we want to be able to put on muscles, and we want to keep the testosterone, natural testosterone levels up, which requires some carbs. Now, that's the first thing we're going to take out if we're not getting a body fat down. 30% of the calories. And again, I don't like percentages. You start always with protein, 1 gram per pound. And if you're lean, and you're still trying to lose a little body fat, if you're very lean, and you can go 1 gram per pound of weight. You don't need to know. I'm not going to take a 400-pounder that's obese and give them 400 pounds of 400 grams of protein. So I do by lean body mass when you start, depending on how overweight they are. 1 gram per pound of body weight is fine for your typical athlete, your typical person that's not overweight. You can go because what's going to happen is you get leaner and leaner and leaner, the protein's going to go up. And you're going to get above 1 gram per pound of lean body mass for sure if you want to keep going down. It also depends on how big the deficit is. But you're not going to be able to put on muscle. Remember, your body doesn't like doing 2 things at once. So it's going to be a lot easier to put on muscle. I usually will tell someone, if they want to go, I want to lose a little bit of fat, but I want to put on muscle as my main goal. We're just going all after the muscle goal. And you're actually going to be in a surplus, not a deficit. Yeah. And then what's going to happen is I'll put 10 pounds of muscle on you in 10 or 15 weeks, and your body fat automatically went down.
Right, because it stayed the same.
Yeah, exactly, because it stayed the same, exactly. And then if for any reason it creeps up, and by the way, I can even convince them, if you want to put on muscle, I want you to gain a little bit of body fat, I mean, just pounds-wise, not percentage-wise, so the absolute number, just because it's just easier to put on muscle. So that's where the tug-of-war goal comes. So again, but the bottom line is the average person that's going to do that, when they come in, and let's take an average Mr. or Mrs. Jones. They come in, it's a mom, she's 28% body fat. And the first question I ask, so how much would she go? And they weigh, let's say, 150. Okay. And I'll say, okay, so what is your dream? What are you looking for? Well, I want to lose 30 pounds. Okay, and I go, do you want to lose fat or do you want to lose weight? Because you can lose 30 pounds by amputating a leg. Right. So what do you want to lose? I know, what do I say? Mm-hmm. You want to lose weight or you want to lose body fat? Well, body fat, I guess. That's what I want to lose because they know at first they really don't know. And so that's where it goes. So let's take so you're at 28% now. Let's take you down to 22 for your first step. That's 6% down. You're going to look pretty good at 22% body fat. Yeah. But I always give them a visual. Your typical female athlete is somewhere between 15 and 20%. And we're not talking about the shredded sprinters and stuff. Yeah. That's your typical college female athlete. College. Mm-hmm. You know, professionals are probably all down in the single digits, even the females. And males are like the college because of football skews it. Yeah. They're somewhere between 14 and 16, somewhere in there, 12 to 16. Women naturally carry a little more fat, you know, obviously for pregnancies and so forth. So anyway, so I would tell them that, and I say, listen, let's go 6%. We'll do that in 12 weeks. And let's go ahead and put on a couple pounds of muscle simultaneously. So you've already measured their body fat, and then put it in a little computer program, and it tells you how much lean body mass they have. Remember, lean body mass is everything. Right. That includes your water. That's considered lean body mass. So that's what's left after fat. So now you're looking at it and you go, okay, so let's put a couple pounds on, because those couple pounds will not only keep you, by doing that, we're going to be able to burn more calories, which is pretty cool, rather than lose calories when you lose muscle, lose burning calories. So I go, so we're going to do it this way. Here's your diet program, and here's the supplements, the nutrients without calories. And that's what they'll do right there. And no one ever says no to that, because nutrients without calories, you're going to feed muscle, starve body fat. Yeah, I got to get you what we call calorically efficient in your diet. Yeah. So I can't give you 30,000 calories to get your 1 gram per pound of protein, and I can't give that to get all your vitamins and minerals to meet the RDA without at least 3,000 or 4,000 calories somewhere along the line, and you wouldn't like the diet anyway. Yeah. So bottom line is we got to get it down to the 1,500 calories or whatever it is for this particular person, and then we'll just measure you and keep it going. Nutrients without calories, and that is across the board. Now, take a guy, the same thing, a little less body fat maybe, but bottom line is the same formula all the way around.
So it's kind of situational on if you're going to give them a deficit or a surplus then?
Yes, situational if you're going to get, exactly.
So there's no like,
give me a situation, I'll tell you.
Yeah, so...
I mean, this is my expertise. I built the algorithms for the program.
I guess in what situation would you give a deficit? If you could give us that.
A deficit would be anybody that is saying, I've got to lose body fat.
Yeah.
Okay, in other words, listen, I'm a fitness model. I've got to go from 10 to 6 before I can compete.
Yeah.
Okay, so that person's in a deficit, but I'm going to hold on to their muscle. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to feed their muscle everything because they don't want to lose any of that. So it's whether they can do that, that really depends on where they are with everything. Right. Holding on to it would be lovely.
Right, because they're already maximizing their gym. They're already maximizing
their
training, their supplements.
And they're already supplementing and everything. Yeah. That person's going to go in about a 250 calorie deficit.
You don't want to be too much more than that. Just looking to lose muscle and hold on to your fat. Or strictly trying to lose fat and trying to hold on to your muscle.
Yeah, your deficit's going to be around 250.
And you're somewhat lean, right?
Yeah. Your deficit's going to be around 250. Now, same thing also, though, if I'm going to lose, I'm going to probably go a full 500 calories for Mrs. Jones to lose that 6% over that period of time, full 500 calorie deficit. Yeah. And the supplements will, because she's not a bodybuilder or anything else, so that supplements will definitely hold her muscle up all the way. Right. But the people that are fixated on weight back in the day, they would go crazy. Well, the scale's just not moving as fast as it should. And I go, yeah, but look at your body fat. Yeah. And we would graph their body fat loss there. And I go, otherwise you're going to end up a skinny fat person.
Yeah, they're not worried. They're not paying any attention to body composition. Exactly. They're just worried about the number. Right?
Yeah, right. That's when we start measuring body fat that they go, okay, I can see it, but still in their mind they're fixated on a number. I go, so I would go like this. Bottom line is we can do that number very quickly because you're going to lose muscle and fat. We'll do it twice as fast. But you know what you're going to be? A smaller version of your former self, or what I call skinny fat. Yeah. That's what you're going to be. And then of course you're going to gain the weight back. That's the bad part.
And then the surplus so the situation where you would actually give a slight surplus in caloric intake for gaining muscle and losing fat. Yeah. What's that situation?
That's when they're telling me, listen, I say, you got to pick one for me. And they go, I'm gaining muscle. I want to favor that. Okay, then I'm not going to give you a deficit. And because don't forget, to put on muscle, if you just came to me, listen, all I want to do is put on muscle, you're going to go into a 250 calorie day surplus. Right. And I'll even start you at a 500 calorie day surplus. and then watch to see what's happening there, because you have to be in a surplus in order to do that, because you want to deposit that surplus in your muscle.
Right.
Okay, and exercise tells you to deposit in muscle. If you don't exercise, it'll deposit anywhere. Obviously your fat stores and so forth. So exercise tells it that, and then keeping all your micronutrients and supplementing. You're using creatine, beta-alanine to put on as much as you can possibly do. Can you get better workouts? So your adaptation potential is greater, and then feeding it all the nutrients again that your body can possibly use without too much. So I would put, if you just want to gain muscle, it's about a 500 calorie deficit start, and then you start moving it down depending on watching body fat move with it. But if you're just gonna, otherwise, if muscle is a little bit more favorable to you, then start at about 200 calorie surplus.
And this can still lead to
It can.
a increase in muscle.
Yes.
And
if it
really,
doesn't, what am I going to do? I'm just going to bump the calories down to your maintenance.
But I'm saying in regards to also losing fat,
Yeah.
like this is going to maybe bump your muscle and your fat stays the same at this point? Or can that even go down?
Really, again, every human's different based on their genetics and based on all this kind of stuff. But the general rule of thumb is if you want to put on muscle and lose body fat, we're going to start you at a maintenance amount of calories. And then what will happen is as you're freeing up fat and so forth, you can actually build muscle from the energy that you're releasing. And of course, you're getting all the nutrition you need, right? But you're using, fat stores to help supply the extra energy needed to build tissue, because you need extra energy to build tissues.
Kind of what people say, that's how you turn fat into muscle.
Yeah, but that's not the way it works. Obviously, physiologically, but that's kind of how probably people thought of it. You're using energy from your body to be able to put on muscle. Because you do. Because now the nutrients with the less calories, the protein, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
The protein needs to be deposited in your muscle. And as long as you got enough protein, you'll have enough energy to be able to keep building it. But you got to supply the energy also, for your better workouts, all of that.
Actually, I do have one. Since you did say the macro breakdown, you kind of gave the percentages, which I know those are just like giving you a rough general idea of what your diet's going to look like. You don't necessarily want to hard follow those.
Yeah.
Can you lose fat and gain muscle on a more like specific diet of like keto or anything like that?
Well, it depends on where you were. Let's say you were like a really skinny person with great genetics. Really, really skinny. I suppose you could in the beginning put on muscle. Losing fat, you probably don't want to lose fat. But if you were overweight and you started on that, you'd have that's designed to lose weight. Yeah. It's not designed, it's a high fat diet, a real keto.
Yeah.
It's a high fat diet. Now, you can go into ketosis eating protein if you get enough protein. So if you're getting enough protein, right, and you got the fats and you've taken the carbs down, sure you can. You can if you're a novice, you haven't worked out before, you can, but there's no living on a keto diet to continue that you're
going to hit your threashole a lot
sooner. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Keto diets are just, you can't really
thing.
define them. A great study came out about people following keto diets. It turns out people that say they're on keto diets, 5% or 10% will follow it and then they'll give it up. Right. And they kind of move it around, but they still call it a keto diet.
Same thing with
it's the same thing. They're getting carbs they don't even know in the first place. And it's not just a high fat, because the keto defined is more of a high fat diet than a high protein.
Yeah.
It's not, but people think it's a high protein diet, and it's not.
Well, look, the whole carnivore culture is really swayed a lot of people.
Yeah,
and I'm even confused on that. But.
Yeah, I know. And again, I don't know the carnivore culture, but all these diets that were out there, the caveman diet, which I'm sure is something like that. Remember, these people don't live very long. Those people don't live very long, so it's probably not a good thing to do for the rest of your life. Nothing wrong temporarily with any of those diets, but it's just. It is sort of comical the way these things just pop up and then they go away and then they come back and they go away and they come back. But it's just, it's all marketing. It's all just, if you're comfortable doing it, as long as you're getting everything else, you're not going to die from it, But if you really want to, if you look at any endurance athlete, obviously they eat 70% of their calories from carbs,
Right.
and they're the skinniest people on the earth, by the way.
Right. I know, it's so funny.
I always crack me with people. I go,
I know.
gee, have you seen the skinniest people that are just shredded and they eat 70% of their calories? Because they need it. That's their energy source.
Yeah, the amount of people that, this is a little off topic, but on that post that we did for carbohydrates for building muscle, how you want to be like probably at least 2 to 1.
Or be around 2 to 1.
Yeah.
1.5 to 1, I say, is fine.
Yeah. There are so many people. Yeah, that's the sure way to get type 2 diabetes. It's like, dude, like the ignorance is like so crazy.
If you're genetically predisposed to diabetes for whatever reason, hang on, and you're eating shitty carbs for your 1.5 to 1 or 2 to 1, and you're not working out, obviously.
Right.
Okay, that's the only way that's going to happen. It doesn't just happen from your diet unless you're immobile and you're gaining weight.
That's what I'm saying.
And these people I know, they're just. And
granted, the whole thing was prefaced with in a muscle building phase. It's just crazy.
Resistance training, which is a big thing.
The whole
obviously.
demonization of carbs has just gotten so out of hand that it's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving on to the workout. Okay, so we got the diet out the way. About kind of your macros. You can be in a deficit or in a surplus to achieve losing fat and gaining muscle, depending on your evolution and your goals, right?
Yep.
Let's get to just briefly touch on the exercise portion of it. So you said it's going to be resistance training is obviously how you're going to do that.
Yeah.
What is that intensity looking like then?
Yeah. If you're trying to put on muscle, you want to go to failure regularly, and you want to continue to do what we call unaccustomed exercise. So you can't just do the same exercise every day with the same weight, same reps.
Yeah.
You've got to increase the weight, increase the intensity, change the reps. You've got to shock the muscle on a regular basis. You got to overload it. So it's got to be progressive.
Yeah.
You got to keep going to the next level, whether you're adding 2.5 pounds a week to a barbell or 5 pounds or whatever. Your strength is also kind of a good gauge. You must be putting on a little bit of muscle if your strength's going up. You're not just cheating to get it up, to make it look like you're stronger. You're actually doing the same movement and all that. So it's got to increase, right? So if you're a novice, you can just work out 3 days a week in the beginning. That's all, maybe 2 days a week if you've never worked out before. Yeah. You can do that. You'll start putting on a little muscle. Then maybe you decide, I'm going to work out a little harder. Maybe I'll go to 3 days a week, but it's got to be progressive, unaccustomed. Once it gets accustomed, the muscle goes, hey, I'm all done. Yeah. That's all I have to handle. So you have to have that. Now, here's where aerobic work comes in. First of all, don't stop continue to walk. I tell everybody, you got to get anywhere. You got to try to get your 10,000 steps a day. And that's a good little, walking just keeps blood flowing and all that kind of stuff. And that's easy to do, by the way. You just stand, rather than sitting around, you can just stand and pace a little bit and get it, easy, along with, regular moving around. But the second part to that whole thing is when let's say you're putting on you're not losing any body fat. All right, look like you're putting on a little muscle, but you wanted to lose that body fat there. Then what I would do at that particular point is I would just step up your aerobic work. I don't want to drop your calories. Follow me? Because I want the calories for the muscle and the nutrients and the nutrients without the calories for the muscle. And then I'll add 20 minutes, 3 days a week of cardio. Whether it be a treadmill, Stairmaster, or anything like that you like to do in the gym, or brisk walking, a brisk walk. And that way now, okay, we're going to go ahead and start burning a few more calories, or I just tell them to move more during the day. So let's say you look at your pedometer or whatever, your Apple Watch or whatever, and it says that you've been doing 7,000 steps. Go to 10,000 steps. That's easy to do. That's what we call non-exercise, right, activities. Yeah. So increase your non-exercise activities first. Like if you're sitting, for instance, you burn a certain amount of calories when you're sitting, right? Right. Standing burns 1.5 times more, and 1.5 to 2 times more when you pace a little bit. Mm-hmm. God, you can burn 500 more calories a day doing that. Yeah. Because most people sit for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, people get it twisted a lot that going to the gym is where you burn the bulk of your calories. Like you almost burn no calories going to
500 calories
exercising.
You burned off your cafe mocha.
500 is that's if you're
that's a vicious workout.
Your ass.
That's a really good workout. Yeah, it's a real. But that's the exercise is for your cardiovascular and depositing nutrients.
I'm just saying.
I know. Yeah. Don't think of it as a weight loss tool.
Yeah, that's what
that's a huge mistake. Yeah. It's just it becomes a tool for it only to help you maintain,
Right, and trigger what you want
and of course
in your
get
body.
get your health and your muscles and all that. But yeah, people think of that. Don't think of that for your for that. But again, putting on muscle, now we're going to burn a few more calories, and then if I don't want to compromise that muscle building, then what I'm going to do is just add some cardio to make that body fat start to go down a little bit. So those are fine. You're fine tuning 3 things.
Yeah.
Your supplement program.
Well, yeah, it has to be
without
refined.
calories.
You're trying to do,
your nutrient intake, which is your
goals.
supplements and your food, your nutrition, calories wise, in other words, the energy that's coming into your body and the energy going out of your body. Okay. And then, of course, your resistance training. So all those factors are combined. That's why I created the 5 components of fitness, which became, kind of a worldwide sensation in all the gyms and so forth.
What are those 5? Just quickly?
Well, you got the food intake on one, right? Then you had we had your cardiovascular, because this is for body fat we're talking about, or putting on muscle. You had your cardiovascular work, which we would manipulate, so forth. And then because now, if you were on a diet, if you were on a calorie deficit from your nutrient intake because you want to lose body fat percentage, right? What are we losing? Nutrients too.
Yeah.
So what was component number 3 was the nutrients without the calories. All right. So now we just filled all your gaps.
Yeah.
So we could hold on to the muscle while you lose body fat. You're using, we use the cardio in there. And then, of course, 4th with the resistance training. And 5th was the monitoring.
Oh, nice.
Monitor it. Yeah. And monitor your body fat and everything else and make the adjustments. So I built a whole program around that. And then it's all, in the algorithms.
All right. So let's try to get in a clean list here of supplementation to lose fat and gain muscle. So what are we starting? Like, what is our supplement protocol to lose fat and gain muscle?
Depending on if you're a novice. So we ask people, if you're a novice, intermediate, or advanced. Okay. In other words, if it was something like you.
Well, let's just go all 3 then.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start with the novice. You're brand new to me, right? Then what I'm going to do right off the bat is this. I'm going to say, listen, you're going to use take a complete multivitamin, and not one that you buy in a drugstore. Those things are shit. Yeah. One that has the 20 known underconsumed vitamins and minerals in the right form. So you got 2 forms of K. I mean, all the right stuff.
Right.
So we call those practitioner products. Mm-hmm. All right. So now we got that one done. And I would always ask, how much fish do you eat a week? I don't, not much. And if I do, it's fried. Okay, that's not me. I'm talking about them.
Right.
And I go, okay, you're definitely taking omega-3 fatty acid. That's a big one too, because that's involved in all your cell metabolism as well. It's in the membranes. Okay, so you got that. So that's your nutrients without calories. So far, there's no calories. I mean, one little 10
fish
calories
oil,
in a fish oil or something. Yeah. So anyway, you got that. And then I'm going to give them protein. Okay, and first I want to make sure they get enough calcium too. So I'll ask them, do you eat how many dairy servings or how much calcium you get? Because they need about 1,200 milligrams a day. And if you don't get that, your infrastructure is just going to go down. Yep. So we got to make sure of that. So I'll give them a calcium supplement only if I know they're not getting enough calcium just by interviewing them. We have a program that actually does it for them, but I'm giving you all the listeners. If you're eating 3 servings of dairy a day, you're going to be probably fine. And then the protein powders, we usually try to, if they're not a vegan, then they use whey protein. And that's naturally got about 300 milligrams a serving of calcium. So there's that. Milk's got, 300 milligrams in a cup. So anyway, you get the picture. Yeah. So they'll get a calcium. So I've just got to support their infrastructure so it doesn't shrink. So they got their calcium if needed. Omega, which is almost always needed. People in the U.S. just don't eat the amount of fish because you need like 4 servings of fish a week.
I mean, it's good anyways.
Yeah, right. It is good.
Even if you did eat
take
all
4
that,
a day.
even if you did eat all that.
Yeah, right. And then, of course, your multi. So there's your micronutrients, if you will, done. Yeah. Now, and by the way, the reason the calcium's not in the multi is because it'd be too big if you need it.
Right.
It'd be a shoe size. Okay, so now, and not everybody has to have it or needs it. Then the protein. I'm going to give them the strongest protein in the world, highest biological value, so they can get the most amount of amino acids without the calories, without the extra calories that you would get from the food. So you just extract the protein, a good whey protein, and you're going to get yourself, you can get 25 grams of protein for, like 150 calories. Because you got to have a little carb in it to make the protein work a little better, but not much. You can do without it. You can buy an isolate and do the same thing with it. So that's what I've done. Right, that's a novice. That's a brand new person walking out, happy as hell. They're going, now I feel like I'm really going to get there. And they are. All they get, and of course they're following the diet or the nutrition. They're in a 500 calorie deficit. Let's just say that would be a novice person right there trying to do that. Trying to lose 6% body fat while gain a couple pounds of muscle. Done.
Now we move on to the intermediate. Or the novice now becomes the intermediate.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll say, you want to take it to the next level? Well, then we can do some things. What I end up doing is I might actually give them something to help control their appetite to lose, because now they're in a tight spot, right? And there's also some of your thermogenic blends, like some of our practitioner products. They will actually, when you're in a deficit, you remember I told you the body wants to take it from muscle and fat and glycogen. They will actually partition where you take it from and go right to the fat stores. They can redirect the way your body uses energy. A lot of caffeine does that all by itself. It tends to want, when you're in a deficit, when you're in the post-absorptive state, which is 4 hours after a meal, caffeine at that particular time, everybody's now drawing from their stores, whether it's amino acids or from your muscle, or whether it's from your fat stores. I don't care who you are, I don't care how fat you are after 4 hours, because everything's absorbed, and now it just starts moving things out. Well, when you're using something like some of these thermogenic blends that we will put together, they will actually tell your body to pull it from the fat stores, not from the amino acid stores, and they start redirecting. We call that energy partitioning. So there's that also. That helps them, makes it easier journey for them. There's also some other things, amino acid blends all by themselves. Okay, so use that for before and after, during your workout, to help you hold on to more muscle and put on the muscle. So that's what an intermediate would get. I kind of make the decision, how's the diet going for you? It's a little, I'm hungry all the time. Okay, you're going to take this thermogenic blend. Now, if you're not, and I'm just going to give you something here to make it so it's easier to build muscle and recover, and that's going to be an amino blend. And that's really for the intermediate person.
Right.
I don't have to get to the creatine level yet.
Yeah, so one time for the intermediate person that's trying to lose fat and gain muscle, what is the supplement protocol?
Yeah, so defined as intermediate, you've been training for like maybe 6 months to a year, right? And you still want to go to the next level, right, of body fat and putting on muscle. Then you're going to have your multi, your omega, and if you're still not getting calcium from your diet, then maybe a calcium, that's optional, okay? And then your protein source. Again, you can get the protein from your food, but we want to get more protein, less calories. Yeah. Okay, so and then I'm going to add an amino formula during your workout so you can recover better and hold on and maybe put on a little more muscle with that, okay? Because those are the triggers that actually trigger muscle protein synthesis. And then if you're struggling with your diet, then I might put like a thermogenic blend of something to help you with cutting your appetite and so forth.
All right, now we're moving on to what is the supplement protocol for the experienced or advanced level of exerciser trying to lose fat and gain muscle.
Yeah. So if I'm working with someone there, it's full blown. Everything I just said, or should I lay it out again? Your multi, your omegas, right? You're taking omega no matter what, because these people are training very hard. Yeah. You're basically talking about a bodybuilder getting ready for a show. You're talking about anybody that's trying to train like that, right? And you're next level. You've been doing this for years, and you want to go to the next level. Yeah. So you got your multi, you got your omega, you've got your low-calorie protein source, okay? Because to get 1 gram a pound of protein, 1 gram per pound of lean body mass or weight, okay, which you might be at this point, a protein from food, you need a part-time job to afford it, and you're going to need a part-time cook to cook all your meals for you.
Because you're an advanced person now, you got a lot of muscle as it is.
Exactly,
too,
exactly. So anyway, that's why, and not only that's like a whey protein source is better than the other ones, in higher quality all the way around. So you just add that to your normal protein sources. Now I'm going to the exercise stuff to give you the better workout. I'll give you a pre-workout. We use a nitric oxide booster that has a thermogenic blend in it. So it's got creatine also. It's got beta-alanine, and it's got a nitric oxide blend, nitrosogene. These are all in one formula, so they're not taking like 10 different things.
It's a pre-workout.
Beta-alanine, creatine, and maybe some glutamine as well to heal you faster. And when you're training at that level, people end up with what we call exercise-induced immune suppression. Yeah. So we'll add glutamine during that particular time as well. So basically, that's it. And we also, the antioxidants, we have a bunch of different, we have one formula that's got all your lutein, zeaxanthine, astaxanthin, CoQ10, alpha-lipoic acid. These are things that are really important to hard training athletes, not just for recovery, but for all types of other oxidative antioxidant protection. So they are antioxidants. So those things just help you recover faster. Yeah. If you recover better, your workouts are better. The next one, you're prepared for your next bout of exercise. Otherwise, you're just repairing the muscle from your previous workout rather than building it. Yeah. And that's what the key is when I stack you like that. So I stack it. You stack it. And then I also the aminos. They drink the aminos during the workout.
Yeah.
They're doing that. So you're doing up when we talked about this before, but you're protein stacking.
Yeah.
There's never a time that you're never in a post-absorptive spot because you've got to eat you have no choice. You will eat every 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want in the post-absorptive spot, no matter state, no matter who that is, that's 3.5, 4 hours after your last meal. Everything now starts coming out of your body to keep you alive. That's what it's going to do. And that's the way humans are. We're periodic eaters. So it can last for days that way, but you're just dumping stuff out of your body to keep yourself going. You can't become anabolic again until it comes in, the food. Yeah. So it's very tricky. When you're doing this, and that's one thing we didn't mention, meal timing. You can't go any longer than 4 hours except at night when you're in bed. Now, we used to set our alarms as bodybuilders for 2 a.m. and get up and dump a protein. You don't need to do that. You can just take your last meal before you go to bed, get up, and you'll make up that. That's why I say you've got to break that fast in the morning with protein. Yeah. At a minimum, your protein starts right then because you've been anabolic, for 4 hours after your last meal. So again, meal timing is going to be important if you want to maximize all that. And if your focus is a little more on losing body fat than gaining muscle, I'm not worried about it. Again, quite as much. Yeah. But if you're really, really splitting hairs and you're trying to keep the muscle and build muscle and just lose fat, then your meal timing and the amounts.
Yeah, I mean, in these experienced exercisers, you are splitting hairs now.
Exactly. So you're doing everything right. That's why I say, if someone came to me that's been training for 30 years and trying to train like a bodybuilder, always training like a bodybuilder, but they've been on a plateau for a long time, but they've never done their supplements properly, I can take them way up the road. But if they've been doing their supplements properly like that, that's another world, all the way around. But that's usually the first thing, that people don't know how to use supplements to their advantage. Yeah. Because again, we're talking about nutrients without or very low calories, calorically efficient to feed muscle, starve body fat. Yeah. And that's the magic. That's the magic of being able to put on muscle while you lose body fat. Yeah.
And just since I know we talked a lot in that list right there, if we could just go from the top down for the experienced exerciser trying to lose fat and gain muscle, we're going to start, multivitamin, fish oil, calcium,
extra antioxidants as well.
Antioxidants.
Extra, because vitamins, we'll go back in, but vitamins work as antioxidants themselves. They're part of antioxidant systems, and like vitamin E and C are antioxidants as well. So a different type we call non-vitamin antioxidants. Yeah. All right. So anyway, do you want to start from the top?
Yeah, you take us because I don't know it.
Okay, no, you do. You know.
Well, I know it like generally
because I know what you take. Yeah, exactly.
So take us from the multi down to whatever the creatine or whatever we're talking about.
Complete multi. Not a store-bought one, a practitioner one. You've got your omega-3s, okay, and you've got your extra non-vitamin mineral antioxidant protection, lutein, zeaxanthin, all these type of things here, and CoQ10 and alpha. They're all you can get it all in one, all right? Then you're going to get your protein supplement to be able to get high protein and low calories, because again, we got to starve body fat here, all right? Can't get it just all from our regular food sources. Then we're going to use aminos during the workout to keep our body anabolic. And then we take the amino shot before we go to bed too, keeping the body anabolic. So aminos come in very, very handy because these are the triggers for muscle protein synthesis. And then what else do we miss here?
The pre-workout.
Oh, the pre-workout, yes. Because the pre-workout's going to contain your beta-alanine, your creatine, a thermogenic blend. You don't have to have a thermogenic blend in it. You can do it without. But beta-alanine and creatine, that just allows you to work harder, longer. Do more work in that window. That's what that's all about. So now your workouts are going to be better. If you have better workouts, you have a higher adaptation potential, and then your nutrition fulfills that adaptation, so you get the desired adaptation. So I also will have with beta-alanine, we talked about, those are performance enhancers along with creatine, better workout. Obviously, they compound after a while. And then you've also got glutamine for extra recovery as you get a little bit further down the road. The leaner you get and the more work you're doing, you end up with this exercise-induced immune suppression. So glutamine, we add that in there during those different conditions. So multi, omega-3, extra antioxidant protection from non-vitamin antioxidants and so forth, your protein supplement, so you're getting the best protein, least calories, and your pre-workout, which will contain your creatine, your beta-alanine, and some nitrosogene, and citrulline malate to help boost your nitric oxide production while you're working out, so you get that pump. Okay, and then glutamine also I might add it. I mean the aminos, during your workout.
And then calcium if you need it.
Yeah, if you need it, yeah.
All right, I think that definitely. I mean, we rehash those supplements 1,000 times now, so go through the video, you'll figure it out. And then, but I think, is there anything else you want to add on this that maybe I'm not asking or?
I don't think so. I think again. It is what everybody wants to do. I mean, I think nobody wants to lose muscle and body fat at the same time. So, again, just the resistance training and that right formula, nutrients, adding nutrients without calories and having your calories in the right place. It's just that's sort of the magic of being able to maintain the body you want or achieve the body you want and then maintain it. Otherwise, you make the decision, what do I want to do first? Just lose body fat, we can go much faster, right?
Yeah.
If I need to just gain muscle, we can go much faster. Yeah. Body doesn't like doing both at the same time. But I love it when people can put on a little bit of muscle while they're losing body fat. That's the magic to being able to get addicted to that feel, number one, and addicted to that sort of lifestyle. That's what it comes down to. Because once you start feeling like that, then you don't even crave foods that you used to like. Things just start feeling better. Yeah. But in conventional dieting, you're going to give up at some point. Conventional dieting is just, dropping your calories and walking around or even a little bit of workout. But if you don't supplement, your infrastructure is going to break down because those are the building materials for your infrastructure.
And no one eats proper.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Not only that. Yeah. And even if you did, what are you going to do? I mean,
and we're not talking to you people in the comments that you're the 0.001% that eats every single thing that you need in the human race, okay?
Yeah.
And you get every single little thing from your diet. We're not talking about you, okay?
Right.
99% of the world does not get what they need.
I can still find something you're not getting in your diet.
So before you comment, think about that. All right. I think that does it for the episode. That's how you lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. With the best here, Neal Spruce. Okay. Don't forget, take your multivitamin. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.